All right, we are live on YouTube and recording. I'd like to call this meeting of the Shelton Charter Revision Commission to order. Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we continue to operate under Governor Lamont's Executive Order 7B, allowing us to meet virtually while the pandemic continues. We are broadcasting live on YouTube and recording this. So again, we are pivoting tonight. We have one more idea to consider, but I, again, didn't kill myself to do the research on it. So instead, we start tonight looking at the actual charter. And this is one where we're now looking at the wording for everything. I'm going to toggle between this, the charter, and kind of this that I sent last week, which was the 20 ideas that we had approved as of that point, which are now in the charter and what sections they actually impact. So this is kind of a codex of changes that if you're like, hey, I want to see where this changes in the charter, you can actually use this document to find it. So the way I would propose going through this is chapter by chapter, where we just go, on the pages where it changes, I'll just read out what the changes are. And if you guys have any comments on them, let me know. Obviously, no pride of authorship here. And we'll see how far we get. Tonight, I do have a hard stop at 8:30. So I kind of want to see how far we get and therefore what our pacings of meetings should be. We should plan to have this done to continue with our timeline kind of by the middle of June, right? Because then we have to have one more public hearing and then a formal vote. And then this goes to the Board of Aldermen. And if the Board of Aldermen have this in their hands by July 4th, it gives them plenty of time to do the work they need to do because they have to have a public hearing, et cetera, and still allow the town clerk to get this on the ballot for November. So if there's a possibility, if we don't get through a lot, that, we may need to up ourselves to 2 meetings a week, but let's go through and see. Does that sound good to everyone?
Fine by me.
Cool. All right. Easy one, title page, revision of 2020, and of course, change the date of the election. I haven't updated this page yet, which is the table of contents. And then we get to me pretending to be Thomas Jefferson and the preamble. Any reaction to reading the preamble?
Let's see.
And again, none of this is speak now or forever hold your peace. We're almost there, but not yet.
What's a city of choice? I'm assuming is a city where people want to live, right?
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yep, that's exactly what I meant.
I'm okay with it.
Me too.
Cool. Looks good to me. All right. If anybody has any edits to it, more than open to it. Chapter 1, there was actually no changes to it. Or I shouldn't say that. Let me run through before I say that. So chapter 1 is all about the incorporation, powers and duties. Yep, no changes to chapter 1. Chapter 2 is the first place where we have changes. So we start with our elected officials in 2.4. So we have the mayor, the Board of Aldermen. You'll see in C, as we've discussed, we eliminated the Board of Apportionment and Taxation and re-lettered the rest of it. And then in section E, we moved the library board from 6 members to 7 members for staggered terms of 4 years each, with the terms of, that should actually read. No.
Hey, Dan, I just joined.
Oh, hey, Gare, how you doing?
Hi, Gare.
How you doing?
We just got started. We went through the preamble.
Okay.
Get rid of this. So basically saying, okay, we're going from 6 to 7 members for staggered terms of 4 years each. And basically we say in November of 2021, 4 members get elected for a term of 4 years. And 3 members shall be elected in November 2023 for a term, oh, excuse me, no, that's not right. So basically, everybody gets elected in November 2021, but 4 of those members get 4-year terms, and 3 of those members get 2-year terms. And then after that, they rotate for 4-year terms, right? So basically doing that to say, hey, everybody's up for re-election in 2021, but after that, we're able to stagger it 4-3, 4-3, 4-3 going forward.
How do you determine who gets who runs for 3-year term? The shorter, I mean, 2-year term.
Yeah, that will be up for the nominations. You could be nominated for the 4-year term or the 2-year term. And that would go through either the party process or you would be able to petition on as an independent. Questions on that?
No, I wondered the same thing.
Yeah. That's the way I've seen it done in other charters when they had to stagger them in. And then basically the same thing with planning and zoning, where we have now instead of 6 members, 7 members, still staggered term of 4 years. And the same thing in November 2021, 4 members shall be elected. And in November 2023, 3 members shall be elected. Right. So here, there's no need to reset everyone because they already have 4-year terms. So there's already people who are serving. There's 3 commissioners whose seats come up in November 2021. And so we will just elect 4, right, to bring it up to 7. And in November 2023, 3 members shall be elected. And then thereafter, they just continue with staggered terms. You see that kind of parallels what they did back in 2012. Any comments on 241?
Well, it's not so much about that, but I do kind of have a general question.
Yeah.
What's the difference between a board, a commission, a committee? Why is some things called a board? Why are some things called a commission? And so forth. I mean, I don't know. I'm just questioning. I don't remember it ever coming up before.
Does anybody know I don't know the answer to that.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Because if we were trying to be consistent, so we have a board of aldermen, a board of education, a library board, but then we have a planning and zoning commission. Why isn't the planning and zoning board? Those are our elected boards. But
Yep.
we have a commission. And then when you go into the appointed offices, we have everything's a commission, I think, except the Board of Zoning Appeals. So it didn't make sense to me. There was a lot of inconsistent, things that just weren't consistently running all the way through. Because I read everything. I mean, I didn't finish, but I started from page 1 and was reading everything. Yep. And I just noticed, boy, we are very inconsistent on how we write things in this charter.
Dan, I think the planning and zoning, I think that's general statutes. If you look at all of them, it says planning and zoning commission.
Oh, they do. Okay. I was just curious.
Yeah, but this is where it's a good question. Let me check it out. I don't know if if the difference between a board and commission is defined any place in statute. I don't know. I think it's a good question to look at.
I think it has something to do with land use.
It may, because you have the Inland Wetlands Commission. That's
because it's a commission when there's land use, and I think it's boards when it's not land, like land use.
Okay. I was curious.
I'm just going from memory from back in the day of everything that was coming up.
And then we're a commission now. The Charter Revision Commission's a commission, right? So I don't know.
But I think because we're the governing body of the city.
Right. Yeah. So I think that makes sense. It could be land use. But let's just check it out, because I like consistency as well, Ruth Ann. So let's see if there's wiggle room there or not.
Okay. I mean, I like consistency too. I think it makes it, I felt as if I just came in and started reading this as a, just a citizen of the town, as I am, I was like, boy, it's confusing and it's like inconsistent. Although, through a lot of the wording is very inconsistent. And I'll show you some others as we go forward.
Good. Yeah, because it's a good point about readability. Our readability, having read way too many charters now, is somewhere in the middle, right? There are some that stood out, like Danbury's, which were beautifully written. Like it was just very, very smooth. And others who shall not be named, who you were like, who the heck wrote this? Were they drinking when they wrote it? Like, it literally was like, oh, I don't know if that's this is the most readable thing in the world. So
Okay.
We're somewhere in the middle, but if there's opportunities for us to make it better, let's make it better.
Okay. All right. That's where I felt.
Yep. Now, 242 is the area. That's our one remaining idea here. So I'm going to start using this, right? So new comment. This is idea to explore. Can you vote for less than the full number of members? Right? This was our last idea that we didn't talk about, was that, hey, do you have to vote for 9 people for the Board of Ed, or could you just give people 5 votes or 6 votes?
Hey, Dan, you don't, because like in Fairfield, you vote for, they have the selectmen, right?
Yep.
And so you vote for the first selectman and second selectman.
Right.
So you vote for 2, you don't vote for 3,
Right.
even though you serve.
That's my gut as well, Garen. I had it on my list of things to do. I just didn't do it, of getting other examples from other towns, but that's a good one, is the selectmen races.
And I wrote something up, and I think that's in 24-2, right?
Yep, that's right.
Yep.
That's exactly where we are. And that's where it's kind of like, look, the other logical thing to do there, right? Because what are you trying to accomplish by giving people less votes? Well, you're trying to not allow members of one party to de facto pick the members of the other party, right? Because you give people, 9 votes on the Board of Education, and now there'll be 12 candidates. Before there were only going to be 10. Basically you say, if you're just pick a party, if you're a Republican, you get to pick the Democrats too. And if you don't like certain Democrats, you don't vote for them, you vote for the other Democrats. So that's a question of, you're actually, there's the ability to manipulate minority representation one way or the other. Right.
I just jotted something down. I wrote, each political party shall nominate in a maximum number of candidates as defined in section 2.4 A through F. Mm-hmm. In the event a party does not nominate the required number of candidates for any office, an elector of that party can petition onto the ballot by obtaining, and I just put 5% of the signatures of the registered voters of the respected party as per the Register of Voters regulations. Mm-hmm. I wasn't sure what to write there. And then I vote, each voter is authorized to vote for a maximum number of candidates that a political party is allowed to nominate. And then minority representation as defined by Connecticut General Statutes 9-67A of the Connecticut state statutes shall apply. I know that we got to kind of, do a little better job at that, but that's kind of my idea of what we need to do. We need to let everybody know that if you have 6 seats and you only put up 5, somebody can get on by petitioning. Mm-hmm. And then and then if you put up 6, people vote for 6, and then 9 get elected.
Got it. Yeah. So let me say that back to you, just to make sure I understand. So you're basically saying that, and we're using Board of Ed as an example, there are 9 seats. Any party can only nominate up to the number of seats they can actually win, right? So in that case, 6, and then that number is the number that any voter gets to vote for.
Correct.
Got it. All right. So just wanted to understand that.
And then we define by petition.
Right. And then that's right. And then you can get on by petition if the party fails to fill those seats.
Right.
What's What's the process now of getting on by petition?
I don't know.
It's signature based, but I don't know if it's defined within charter or within statutes. Let's thumb through charter. It'd be in this section, right? So conduct of other voting, tie, right?
I didn't
So
see any. I think it's by statute, Dan.
by statute, it's not, yeah, it's not.
I don't remember reading anything.
Not in here.
Yes, so it's definitely by petition, Don. The exact number of signatures you need to get on, I think we have to look that up.
Right. I didn't know. I put 5%, could be 3%. You know, I believe there's like 6,000 Republicans. So if you said 5%, it's 300. I don't think that's unreasonable.
Yeah.
Or, yeah.
What do people think of that idea?
I mean, I think as he had it was a little wordy, but I think if we changed it up, I think it works.
I have no pride of authorship.
No offense.
Well, as it currently stands, the Board of Education, each party can nominate a maximum of 5 candidates.
6.
No, well,
No, right now we can nominate 9.
Right.
Okay,
And then you vote for any 9, you're up to 9. But what basically was happening was each party was putting up in probably 4 or 5 elections, put up 5 each, and then you vote for 9. So, you know, you're basically, picking the minority representation. I don't think that's right. I think you should be, elected. One gets elected and then minority.
Hello, everybody.
Oh, hey, Darlissa.
Hi, I left you a message on your cell phone. I'm sorry. I apologize. My computer keeps freezing up. I've been trying to get on since 6:30.
Oh, God.
So I don't know. I got to get a new one, I guess.
Oh,
Too many.
Darlissa.
But anyway, continue on and I'll pick up wherever you are.
Perfect. And if you're dialing in on a phone and you're following along, we're talking about section 242.
Okay.
So Garrett, why don't we do this with because I think the idea has merit. Do people want to think about this? Garrett, do you want to just email the language over so we can work on the language? And guys, think about the idea, right? So I think the basic problem that we are solving is getting rid of the ability for one party to game the system on another party, right? Assuming that people are voting for parties, right? The argument against it, right, is I think that, hey, I actually want Democrats voting on what Republicans they want on the board and vice versa, right?
I think that's a very strong argument. I think something's fundamentally objectionable about not being able to vote for the full board.
Well, no, you can vote for whoever you want. You can vote for 6. You can vote for 3 Republicans or 3 Democrats. You're not voting party.
How many people are on the board? How many people are on the board?
9.
So how can I vote for the whole board if I can vote for 6?
No, I think what Gary's saying, correct me if I'm wrong, Gary, is you can't vote for the whole board, but you can vote for any 6 you want. If you're a Republican and you want to vote for 6 Democrats.
No, but that's from the perspective of a party.
Right.
Okay, that's my point. My point is if there are a 9-member on that board, I don't have any association with, I'm a Democrat. Okay.
No.
But I want to vote for 9 members. I want to vote for every one of them. Okay. So I object to this idea of.
Well, I would be okay. Listen, I would be okay with that if each party has to put up 9.
Well, I think your idea is a good one. If you don't put a full, then you somehow fast track a petition so that they have to fill the
vacant, make it easy to fill the vacant.
They shouldn't be able to identify the 3 candidates that are going to be on the board.
Right. What I'm trying to do.
That's kind of a side dish to the point that I want to vote for all 9.
All right, well then, lack of unanimity means, well, let's think about it more, right? Like, so Gary, if you could send that over, send the language over, and let's everybody, because we haven't talked about this idea before. Let's think about it, and, because Don's making some good points here. Gary, I see exactly where you're coming from. So I think it's just, let's think about that more, right?
Yeah, I have no problem trying to figure something out. I just want to make it so we're not, it's just not, both parties put up people and then there's no real election.
Right.
That's my goal.
I agree.
All right. So when there's one person who loses out of all, everybody. Yeah.
Right. I think
So good. So send that language over, Garen. Let's all noodle on that, right? Because I sometimes find when we talk about things, after we all think about it a little bit, we all of a sudden all come to the same conclusion.
Which is okay.
Cool. All right. So that, I believe, was it for section 2.
Well, 2.8,
2.8.
section 2.8, you changed
yes.
it.
Thank you, Ruth Ann, for catching that. Yep. So
My question is it supposed to be 2030 or 2032? Because in our guidelines, I think we wrote 2030.
nope,
not
you're absolutely right.
2032.
Good catch. Absolutely right. It should be 10 years from now.
Okay,
Perfect. Okay, so that's chapter 2. Chapter 3, I don't think we changed anything in the office of the mayor.
But you should.
Okay.
You got Board of Apportionment and Taxation all over there.
Oh,
yes, I saw that too.
oh
I was
good.
gonna
Thank
ask.
you. That's why we do this. Good. And the mayor shall preside at the meetings of,
3.2, powers and duties.
yep. Let's change this real time. Anything else besides, did it hear any place else, Gary, besides 3.2?
333.
333.
We're basically what we did. Remember we were talking about changing the language in planning and zoning so that the mayor, planning and zoning doesn't hire its administrator,
Yep.
right? So basically this says, except where the charter specifically grants to another authority the power to appoint and remove. In which case the mayor shall have no power to appoint and remove. So I thought, I'm not 100%, that we were saying that the chief elected officer shall be any employees report to him, not to a board.
Right.
Yes. So I
Yeah.
take, yeah, guy, you're right. And we take that away later in chapter 8, Gare. So absolutely right. So this section doesn't need to change, right? Because where I changed it was in chapter 8, I changed the inland and wetlands and P&Z to be the mayor, not the board.
Except Dan, where does the charter grant another authority the power to appoint and remove?
Chapter 8. So
Is that the fire?
that is, let me see, fire, P&Z, inland wetlands.
We've taken that authority away in P&Z, correct?
And on inland wetlands. That's
And
right.
in the wetlands.
So let me just put a comment here, just to come back, come back and double check that P&Z and inland wetlands are mayoral appointments. Yeah. Good. Let's just double check that I'm right on that.
Yeah. I was just trying to be consistent where I
Yep.
read my.
Absolutely, Gary, I'm with you. I'm 100% with you.
Hey, Dan,
Yes, sir?
just another thought too. If the fire is the only issue, and I'm still uncomfortable with that, but if the fire is the only issue, why does the charter have to grant the authority if the state is granting the authority? Why can't that entire sentence come out? Why can't that sentence end in the classified service?
Yeah, if the fire's the only one, I don't know if you need it. Another note there. Is this sentence necessary if fire is the only exception to mayoral? Good. Let's come back to that. Succession in office, no change there, and that's chapter 3. All right, chapter 4. And by the way, I'm gonna just do a big search for Board of A&T to make sure I got them all. Let me put a note myself there.
Those are the only ones I had read that we fixed
It's
so
easy-
far.
Yeah, easy enough for me to do a search for that. So
Yeah.
search for A&T and delete throughout. Good.
Okay.
Okay. Chapter 4, Board of Aldermen. So 4.1, no changes. 4.2, no changes. 4.3. So 4.3.2, this is where we said we changed the 5 members of the board shall be necessary to pass budgetary matters and ordinances. All other actions shall require, present tense, a majority of those present and voting. So lowering the quorum standard for things that aren't the budget and ordinances.
We don't want to address the minimum of attendees.
Yeah, Dave, this was one where, like, so right now you need 5 votes to have a quorum and you need 5 to get anything done. So
Right.
the way it is right now, if only 5 people show up, you basically need it to be unanimous in order to pass anything. And so this says if only 5 people show up for the budget and ordinances, so basically for the most important things, you still need 5 votes, doesn't matter. But for
Right.
other things, like if you're approving appointment to Parks and Rec, then you can, if only 5 people show up, you only need 3 votes to pass.
Is it possible only 3 people can show up? Do we still adhere to that?
Nope.
That's not a quorum.
Yep, you need 5 people to do business.
Okay.
But this does allow a minority of the total board to pass something, right? As I said, if only 5 people show up for, you're approving a Parks and Rec member, you only need 3 votes. Okay. Going down here.
That's what we said.
That is what we said. So people, if people don't like that, we can always reverse it, right? We're not at speak now or forever hold your peace. Okay. Appointments, right? So basically I said, rather than 30, I give these guys 90
Right.
days. After taking office, the board shall approve or reject all appointment nominations from the mayor required of it in chapter 5 of this charter. So it used to be 30, just giving them more time and making it explicit, right, that they're no longer, the Board of Aldermen no longer appoints anybody, they approve mayoral appointments.
Right, and that has to be changed within the charter too. A couple,
Big changes to chapter 5 that we're coming up to.
right.
That's right. Investigation, ordinances, I don't think we changed.
I have 473
473. Okay,
hearings. And we have this through this. And that's that we have to, a notice of hearing shall be published in a newspaper having substantial circulation in the city. Is that required? My first question is that we publish it, not just the city's website. And can we say something so we don't, what if there's no newspapers in 5 years?
Yeah, no, this was where, Gary, good catch, right? I just missed this one.
Well, excuse me, but it's also in 2.2, polling places and hours. I was gonna,
Right. Point
as
two.
we came by it, I didn't
So can't we put some language together saying, per state statutes? And if it's in there as a state statute, fine, but if it's not, then you don't have to do it.
And notice shall be published as required by
State statutes and on the city's website.
statutes, no, or I'd be more general, or by such requirements established by the Board of Aldermen. Right, so basically, the notice shall be published as required by Connecticut state statutes or by such requirements established by the Board of Aldermen.
Perfect.
Good, let's do the same language back up in, where was it, 2.2?
2.2.
Two.
Yep.
And it doesn't even say anything there about this city website on that. It just says out a newspaper.
Right.
As required by Connecticut statutes.
Just a,
Perfect.
Dan, why is Board of Aldermen doing the polling place?
No, this is just the publish of the notice.
Right, but Board of Aldermen has nothing to do with polling places and hours.
Yep, but that's not what we're talking about. All we're talking about is if not otherwise provided, the registrar of voters shall publish a notice of the election or other voting as required by Connecticut statutes or by requirements established by the Board of Aldermen.
just a thought, Dan. I think that if, I don't know if the statute addresses it, I assume it does, but if it doesn't, then I think you ought to have a backstop, whether it's the website, referencing the website or referencing something, because I think you're making, I think people can misinterpret that.
I still don't understand Board of Aldermen being on polling place.
Okay.
Like they have nothing to do with elections.
Yeah, and nor would they. This is only saying the notice. Sorry, let me go back. So somebody, if it's not mentioned in state statutes,
Right.
we need somebody to say how.
That comes from but this particular thing comes directly from Registrar of Voters.
But then it would be by statute.
It's by statute with the polling places and the hours. I'm just saying, putting in Board of Aldermen here, like it's making me question it, but why would the Board of Aldermen have anything to do with the polling places?
Well, can a Board of Aldermen, if we were going to have a referendum, could they say that the referendum is going to be from 12 to 8?
They don't establish that. Polling, the Registrar of Voters does.
Registrar of Voters.
Correct, not the Board of Aldermen.
Well, the Board of
Well,
Aldermen.
doesn't the Board of Aldermen try to establish the buildings that are going to be used or available?
They do not. That is all under Registrar of Voters.
Yeah, but they can't go in they have to get approval from somebody. Registrar of
The
Voters.
referendum,
Registrar of Voters has no real power within
They
a city.
don't, but they have powers when it comes to the polling places and the hours. That's not established by the Board of Aldermen at all.
So guys, let's actually find out what Connecticut state statutes say here in terms of, right, because we're just talking about the notices, right? We're not talking about the polling places. We're not talking about the time. All we're talking about here is the notice that needs to go out. So let's see what state statute requires. And if we're satisfied with that, great. And if we're not satisfied with that, then we can talk about who should establish what the notice should be. I think we're all of the mind, the theory here is, hey, yeah, of course you have to publish this, but let's not be prescriptive about publishing it in a newspaper, right? Like it could be, there may be other ways that you can publish it. So I think flexibility is the key here, but let's look at what the statutes say before we say we're comfortable with that flexibility.
Do you want to include city website in this, on 2.2?
Again, this is my question to you guys is, do you want to be so prescriptive to say that for the next 10 years, it should be the website, right? Just not knowing where technology is going to go. I don't know. I'm comfortable putting it in there. I just don't know if we want to be that specific.
Well, or something.
Unless it needs
Well,
to.
could you use the word or electronic communication? You know, that's more general. Or by use of the current electronic devices available, you know, something general. Because we really don't know what's going to happen in 12 years, 10 years, 5 years.
But we're always going to have a website,
Yeah, I agree there.
right? So I think everything should be posted that's done in the city on our website. If you want to use another medium, you can. I mean, what's the difference whether you said it's on the website on Facebook, which is a medium, or Twitter, or some other electronic form? What's the difference? That's, you know.
Well, that's what I said. Use the word electronic form. That covers anything because Facebook is going under. You know, people are not joining up. There's too many problems. I think that's going to be gone in a couple years. Twitter is advancing, but who knows how long that'll be around. If you just say an electronic form, it's general. It can cover like any new invention or whatever without confining us to something that may be old and extinguished.
But I still think you want everybody to put, every way to be transparent is to say the minimum it's on our webpage.
Yeah, and Garrett, to your point, that actually that language was already there on the hearing part of it. If you look at 473, I deleted it. It said and posted on the city website. So I'm comfortable with keeping it in both 473 and 222 or wherever we just adjusted it.
I agree. I think you need a backstop.
Yep.
I agree.
Something of scale.
Yep.
You know.
Good. That makes sense. That makes sense.
Dan, you're being consistent, obviously. So on the other one, you did cities apostrophe S. So if you're going to be consistent throughout.
Thank you.
I know it's little tiny things, but.
Yeah, so this is where, guys, I was more than glad to take a first pass at this. I'm going to need somebody good at proofreading. I suck at proofreading. So we're going to need to appoint a proofreader when all is said and done to go through this and find stuff like that, because I will miss it. For 20 years in corporate reviews, I have gotten that feedback.
Oh, that's funny.
Know your strengths.
Well, why don't you put two of us on it?
That's a good idea. Is that when it comes, once we go through, let's have two of us.
Yeah, okay.
That's our educator's
Agree.
job.
That's right.
I volunteer, and Ruth Ann, if you'll work with me.
I will, because
Okay, you do your sweep and I'll do my sweep.
I did it a lot on the last charter. I
Okay.
did a lot of the wording.
Yeah, you did.
Hugely value
A lot
added.
of proofing too.
Yeah.
All right.
Hugely value added. Cool. All right, let's drive on then. 4.7. So anything else in the ordinance section that anybody has?
Let's see.
4.7.
There again, 473 hearing published in the newspaper.
Yep, got that one.
Did you get that one?
I did.
Okay. I'm
Changed
sorry.
that. No, it's all right. Changed it as we were talking about it. Okay, if there's nothing else on 4.7, I don't believe I had anything in 4.8. Okay, 4.9, now I see this again, right? So within 10 days after receipt of such ordinance, the city town clerk shall publish the same in summary form in a newspaper. Do we want to change that? Shall publish the same as required
Right.
by Connecticut state statutes. Which notice shall also state that a full copy of the ordinance has been posted on the city website and is on file with the city town clerk.
Should you put cities again there?
Yep,
Apostrophe S.
yep, absolutely right.
Can I just say one thing about these ordinances? The town clerk's office doesn't specifically do each ordinance, it goes on Municode. And then you go on, it's a link that we have on our website, but it's not on our website specifically. It's a link that goes into Municode, and then you can download all of Shelton's ordinances.
Oh, okay. But you have to access the city website first.
You can, right, and then you just go into, there's a link underneath town clerk and it says ordinances, but it's not like specific ordinances, like you have to go into Municode to get to the
Yes.
ordinances.
Understood.
Got it. Good, and it's funny, sometimes I'm like, oh, I should have gone back and read our charter in addition to all the other charters, because we were debating emergency powers, and there actually is an emergency action section here. That
Yeah, I noticed that.
is that basically, if an action is stated to be an emergency vote determined by the mayor and the board, stating facts constitute an emergency shall not require notice of a public hearing. So it's basically saying that you can pass ordinances without public hearings if it's deemed to be an emergency, but those things are repealed within 30 days. So no change there. Power of initiative. Let's see, is there anything in here about publishing?
Don't think so.
No, I didn't notice anything on that either.
Yep, doesn't look like it. Okay. All right, now here's our so now we made it up to chapter 5. So good progress for 45 minutes, but let's slow down because chapter 5's got a lot of changes. So first, under elected boards, eliminating section 511, the Board of Apportionment and Taxation. So renumbering, the new section 511 basically has Board of Education with no more than 6 members from the same party. No other changes to the board or chairman.
I think we want to be consistent too. When you go back, I forget where we talk about that any elected official can serve can be appointed to no more than 2 other or 1 other.
That's coming up, I think.
That's in 5.122.
Yeah.
Yep. So Gary, what were you saying?
I got 9 things happening right here.
Yeah.
We say the members shall hold no other elected or appointed office. I know somewhere else, I'll find it in the back of the charter, we talk about that all commissions, if you're elected, you could serve on an appointed commission, I think, or 2.
So basically, we have a higher standard for the Board of Education than we do for other boards.
Correct. And my question is why? I mean, if you want to be on the building committee, for argument's sake, or a charter committee,
Or Parks and Rec or whatever.
Or something else, yeah. Why couldn't you do that? You're elected here. Can you be on another appointed board if you chose to?
We have the same thing for, same thing for planning and zoning. Planning and zoning also says the member shall hold no other elected or appointed office within the city.
Right, but I think, give me a second, I'll find it.
Yeah.
I think it's general provisions, Gary.
Okay.
Yeah, 'cause the library board's the same way. Or
The library board just says no other elected office.
elected. True. It's true.
Doesn't say appointed or
Does.
appointed.
That's right.
Yeah, I
Yes.
underlined all those things to bring up.
Yes. So, cause I think, so I think we're comfortable that they shouldn't hold another elected office,
Another elected, correct.
right? So the question is just appointed, right? Could somebody be on Board of Ed and Parks and Rec?
Yeah.
I mean, I personally don't have a problem with that. God bless them if they want to, give that level of service.
Well, every once in a while in the city, there's a temporary board.
Yeah.
Or they wanted to, if they wanted to get involved in another board, they should have a right to do that, at least 1 or something.
Actually, that might be a good idea if somebody did want to go on another one like Board of Ed and Parks and Rec, because they could work in conjunction with each other on several projects.
In section
It
5,
could be beneficial if that same person was there and they had that background information. It could help both boards.
in general provisions, you're right. 5-4C, members shall hold no more than one elected municipal office and or 2 other appointed offices within the city.
Got it. So we want to be consistent. So what if folks, so I agree with consistency. I'm making the assumption that there's nothing in state statutes that prohibits this. And so like, to me, I'm fine with just saying the member shall hold no other elected office within the city and let that other provision govern appointed boards. What other?
Sounds
Any
good.
background on that, Dan, as to why they established that in the first place?
Good question. One could say, like, I'll try to make the argument that the Board of Education and Planning and Zoning are such time commitments and such high-powered boards that you would want somebody to dedicate 100% of their municipal attention to them.
Well, if you go back, Leon Sylvester, who was superintendent of schools, was on planning and zoning.
Right. But he was not an, yeah, that's right. He was not.
He wasn't elected.
He was he was an elected, and he was an employee of the city.
Right.
So I think that, like, to me, I'd like the stronger argument is, God bless him, if somebody's dedicated to the city and wants to serve on more than an elected and an appointed board, I'm okay with that. They should not hold 2 elected offices, that's for sure. But there's I think that's the counter argument, Dave. I can't think of another one.
Should we put only one appointed office? I mean, will that, so they're not really spread out or stretched out?
I think you have
Completely.
I mean, you have some conflict, certainly. I mean, you wouldn't want somebody on P and Z to serve on wetlands, certainly, right? You've got, I mean, Board of Education, they may not levy the tax, but they're effectively a taxing authority. So, I mean, you could see where, yeah, I mean, you could even make the argument that them serving on Parks and Rec could be a conflict and issue. You could also make the argument that it'd be coordination, but that's.
I think one's fine, and I, I mean, and then you put, as long as it's not a conflict of interest, but I don't know what is. I mean,
let's leave it as this, because again, first time I'm thinking about it as well, right? So I'm hearing different sides of the argument, and I got to think about this one. Let's just put this as a question. Should we allow elected officials to serve on appointed boards and commissions, whatever the difference is there, boards and commissions?
I think they'd get in the way too. I mean, they could get in the way because it could become, for instance, only just referencing it like with building committees. It's nice to have appointed people. It's nice to have, if you're building a school, it's nice to have, Chick Totora, Joe Bolero on the committee. But you don't want an elected official pushing their way into the committee to shape the agenda. At least that's my view. So.
well, you don't have to be. They still would have to be appointed by the mayor, picked by the mayor, and approved by the Board of Aldermen.
Right.
There could be, I think, John Fitzgerald was on the housing board.
Yeah, John would be a real loss too, because he's been on a million committees.
Right, but I'm just saying, so why couldn't he serve on 2 boards? That makes that be okay to me if he wants to spend the time.
Well, again, just for argument's sake, it gives the elected officials the discretion to place somebody in these groups, and that might not be great.
Would there ever be a problem of the meetings crossover on the same day? I mean, I know, inland wetlands meet on Thursday. I mean, I don't know when everybody else meets, but
It could. To me, it's the question of, and this is why I got to reflect on it more. Do we want to put that in charter versus leaving it up to the mayor and the board of aldermen to think about those considerations? Right? By charter, we're just saying, no, shouldn't be allowed. If we go the other way, we're saying case by case basis, the mayor and the board of aldermen got to think about it. I don't know.
How about if you use the word possible? Or in some circumstances, it may be suitable.
Yeah, that you just use the word may rather than.
Right.
Right.
Right. Basically, this is a deletion, not an add, right? If we
Right.
do, we're deleting a prohibition. We're not adding, adding anything.
Right, but it's not consistent. It's in the Board of Education and not in the library board. And planning and zoning is different. So what's.
I totally agree with, let's make it consistent. All right, so we put a note here. Not consistent. Appointed, mentioned, appointed. Words. Good, so let's think about that and come back to it. Okay. So
Okay.
that was, anything else on section 511, the new 511, Board of Education?
No.
Okay, library board, the only change there is we're adding one person, so no more than 5 from the same party.
No, why don't we stay consistent with our state statute guidelines?
So I got to look at your language with that, Gary, because state statute, when you say state statute guidelines, state statute doesn't have a guideline, they have a max.
Right, whatever that is, they have in general statutes 9-16, 9-167A has a table.
Yes, and what some towns do is they just, like, rather than say guidance, they just put the table in.
Then why don't we put the table in?
And remove the mention from all the individual boards?
Yeah, because it's in boards and all that, so that's our table.
Okay. I'm comfortable with that, because that's actually, you could just look at one place to see that. I think it's 6 of one, half dozen another practically, but aesthetically, I think I like that. What do other people think?
I like that too.
Yeah, I do too.
Makes good sense.
I'm okay with it.
Let me go back up here. This would go into this section. Actually, I'm actually gonna create a new section. That's what other charters do. 2.4.3 minority. And we're gonna also gonna put in new comments, which is need to put in table from state statutes and delete. Hey, buddy.
Good night.
Good night.
Are you on a phone call?
Yeah, you want to say hi to me?
Hi.
Hi.
Oh, from Danny lost 2 front teeth in the last 48 hours.
Oh my goodness.
No.
How much did the tooth fairy give you?
$10 every time, really now.
No way. Send them to my house.
Nice.
All right, buddy. Thank you. So where was I? Okay, minority representation. We will, so need to put in the table of state statutes and delete references from rest of charter. Perfect. Where were we? So back to chapter 5.
Mine's coming up very soon, right now.
All right, there were no other changes to library board. And here's the first change in planning and zoning. So you'll see to the point before that the commission shall have such duties as are provided by the Connecticut general statutes relating to planning and zoning. And then I got rid of this part, and subject to approval of the mayor shall appoint and remove zoning and planning officers and such professional and other personnel. So that is now deleted, which you'll see later in the charter, back in chapter 8, puts that power back to the mayor, where the mayor appoints all employees of the city except as mentioned. Then, and then down in B, the other change, we're keeping the 2 alternates, no more than 1 from the same political party. And we've added in the provision that Ruth had talked about, which was alternates may only substitute for a member of the same political party.
Right.
Okay, so that was elected. And then appointed, right? So now you'll see I've collapsed 2 sections, 5.2 and 5.3, into one section, which is just 5.2, which is just appointed. And so we had elected, now we have appointed. And this is where we put in, for all appointed boards and commissions in this section, the mayor shall nominate all members. The Board of Aldermen shall then vote on approving these nominations within 60 days of the nomination. The mayor shall make appropriate notifications to the clerk, blah, blah, blah. That's all the same. So this is unifying the how we do appointments in the city.
Is that why you dropped off by the mayor under appointments? Because you worded it, okay.
That's right, because they're just appointed, because everyone's appointed by the mayor now, at least in this section.
Okay,
Right, there's the fire falls into a different section, I believe, so they're not covered by this. But let's make sure I'm right in saying that. So Parks and Rec, no changes. Zoning Board of Appeals, so this is where you'll start to see the change that we had for making everyone a staggered term of 4 years, right? We got rid of the variety that was there. Everybody's there for 4 years now. Conservation Commission, Economic Development Commission.
Dan, you're gonna take out any reference about political parties?
Yes, that's going to be global. So every place where it says, where it mentions minority representation, I'm going to take it out and it'll be all reference to that table. That's why I'm creating that section 2.3.4, something like that. So we'll actually put in the chart from state statutes and say, when a board is this big, you have no more than this many from the same party.
Yeah, no more than, right, okay.
Yep. So I'll have that in the next version that I'll send out.
okay, again, on the consistency thing, like the Parks and Rec says appointed by the mayor.
Yeah.
The Board of Zoning Appeals does not say anything about appointed by the mayor. Then Conservation Commission, appointed by the mayor. Economic, appointed by the mayor. So the Board of Zoning Appeals left off appointed by the mayor in
Yeah.
the wording. So if we're going to be consistent, I think we need to add that in.
Yeah, or actually take it out, right?
Or
Like,
take it out of all of them.
yeah, I think it's take it out because we mention it now, like everyone's appointed by the mayor in this.
Right.
Okay, yes.
So this is what, one of the other principles is use less words, right? So if we can take out the words and mention it once, let's do that.
Okay.
Okay.
And I do have another question, kind of similar to the one I asked, why is things a board, a commission?
Yeah.
Why do, I mean, Parks and Recs have 12 members, Zoning Appeals 5, Conservation 7, Development Commission 5, 7, 5. I mean, the numbers are all over the place. Is there any particular reason? I mean, I just was curious.
So I don't know the answer to that beyond Parks and Rec, where traditionally, because of the scale and scope of what they do, I know they have divided and conquered responsibilities before. Whereas, you know, all the other ones seem to be between 5 and 7, and I have no idea why some are 5 or some are 7. But I just know Parks and Rec is big because of the scope of what they do.
And I think
okay.
you got a lot of people that want to serve on that committee.
Yeah.
Oh, there are, okay. I was curious.
Yeah, but why are some 5 and some 7? No. I mean, it's a question of if you guys wanted to make that consistent, we could, with a bias towards probably 7 rather than 5. But again, I'm not sure what we're breaking by doing that. And the answer may be nothing.
I would leave it
I
alone.
think leave it alone, because Parks and Rec also deal with the summer school programs and the playground programs for kids. So they really do need a little more people on their committee. It's not just, after events are over, it's planned programs. So I think you need the extra people.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm fine with that. I was just a question.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, inland wetlands. So inland wetlands, you'll see once again, deleted this. The commission, subject to the approval of the mayor, shall appoint and may remove a wetlands enforcement officer. So getting rid of that exception puts the power back to the mayor as per later in the charter. And then you'll see I just deleted section 5.3 and just continued section 5.2, right? So this just continues appointed boards. Board of Assessment Appeals, the only one that we are leaving at 3 members because that's prescribed by Connecticut general statutes. And then public building committees, leaving that alone. And now one for us to choose is technology. So the technology committee language, well, let's take a second to read it. Basically say the city shall have a technology committee that provides a citywide strategy for hardware, software, and services related to information technology. The committee shall consist of 7 members, with 3 of those members being recommended for nomination to the mayor by the Board of Education. The members shall have extensive expertise in information technology. The technology committee strategy will include a multi-year view of the technology needs of the city, inclusive of the Board of Education. The technology committee may recommend expenditures to the Board of Aldermen. The technology committee may also be authorized by the Board of Aldermen to spend funds on technology, in which case they shall operate in the same manner as a public building committee in the previous section. So basically saying that this technology committee will definitely come up with a strategy, right? They're definitely tasked with coming up with a citywide strategy. They may recommend expenditures, and they may be authorized to spend money. So much like a building committee is delegated funds from the Board of Aldermen or from a referendum, the technology committee similarly may get funds to spend, and then they have the same requirements as a building committee would.
Hey, Dan,
Yes.
You'll be very proud of her. She's really a great gal. She's really good.
We're getting background noise from somebody.
Yeah, everything's been an echo since we started this section.
hey, Dan, I would take out the sentence, all members shall have extensive expertise in information technology. I think it's just subjective at this point. The rest of it isn't. The rest of the language is solid.
I agree with you.
Yep, you're right. That is subjective. Take that out.
Are you giving this a separate section number? I couldn't hear that part.
Yeah, sorry for the echo. Yeah. So it's 5.
It's on the page. It's on the bottom of the other page.
Yeah, I think she's just on the phone, so she can't see. It's 5.2.7 if you're looking that up.
2.7. Okay, I got it. Thanks.
Yes. Are people happy with that? There's a whole bunch of mays in here that allow for flexibility. With the only hard and fast thing they have to come up with a strategy.
I'm wondering why 3 of the members would be the option of the Board of Ed.
Well, so not the option, right? So this is where I wanted to keep it consistent, right? So the way John originally had it is John recommended that the Board of Aldermen appoint 3 and the Board of Education appoint 3.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that. Okay.
That was his, but I didn't want to keep it that way. Here, the mayor continues to be the nominator, right? Be consistent. The mayor nominates, Board of Aldermen have to approve. But the three of those members should be recommended to the mayor by the Board of Education. Now, does the mayor have to take those? No. But the board's going to provide him with three recommendations. And in the spirit of this committee, you would assume that he would take those. But they're not.
One of the things that, this type of committee, typically you'll have staff, non-voting staff on these committees
Yes.
that are spending money. And they'll be there every meeting. They just won't vote.
Yep. You would imagine that the IT director for both the city and the
Right.
Board of Education would be the staff for this.
Right.
With ex officio members.
Yep. We can put that in there. You want to formally put that in there, or?
I wouldn't.
Because those positions may change over.
I think just in principle, that's what's going to happen.
Yes.
The board is put in a position where they're going to spend money. Staff's going to be there. They're just not going to vote.
Yep. So good. So folks, not speak now or forever hold your peace, but if folks have other edits to that language, then we'll do that.
The only suggestion that I would have is to put it in the same order that the others sections are. Like it says, let's see. The city shall have, wait a minute, let me go back to the right section here. Say have a board of zoning appeals consisting of 5. You kind of determined what it was, and then you said the consistent. I would just change the order of your sentences.
Yeah.
So that is consistent with all the other sections, if you know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean. Make the language here parallel with the order of the
With all the, right.
other boards.
So like we mentioned that it's consisting of 7 members is the very first sentence of all the other ones.
Yep.
And then put the first sentence second, or, vice versa, however.
Yep.
Just to be consistent in our wording.
Perfect. I
Good
agree.
suggestion, Ruth Ann.
Thank you.
Dan, can you just go back to 5.2? I think I was sleeping. I just that one sentence that remember from last week that you said, okay, you're going to put it back in. Okay, you got it. No problem. That last sentence that I said, make sure that goes in because of the town clerk. Okay. I wasn't sleeping. Okay.
Yep.
So you're saying the sentence that's crossed off is now back in? Is that what you said?
Yes. From your copy that I gave you last week.
Okay. I got it. All righty.
Yeah, right. Sophia gave me that feedback after the meeting, so I reversed it.
Okay.
And I gave Ruth Ann a copy of what was there without putting it back in.
Okay, I'll just make a note.
Yep. And I will send out a revised copy after each meeting, so you guys will all have.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else on technology committee? Okay. If not, Public Employee Appeals Board, no real change. WPCA, no real change. Board of Ethics, no real change. Oh, actually, we have to change this for 4 years.
Yes, yeah, I wrote that.
Years, consistent. Provisions. Members serve without compensation. Gary, where was the one that you said? C. So members shall hold no more than 1 elected municipal office and or 2 other appointed offices within the city. Right. So this says they could serve on either 2 appointed. Yeah. So could a person serve on 3 things?
That's the way I read it.
That's the way I read it too.
That's a lot.
Yeah, me too, but they'd have to be superhuman.
Yeah.
And not have another life.
Right.
I just think it needs to be consistent within all the sections. That's.
Yeah. So I'm just going to note this here.
And I think probably 1 and 1 is probably fair. Could serve on another commission. I mean, I don't know.
Right, one other.
I think that's good too, Gary.
So we want to say probably no more than 2 total positions. Either 1 elected, 1 appointed.
Or to appoint.
Yeah, I think that, I got to sleep on that a little, but I think that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, if you were on Parks and Rec, could you be on this committee?
Right. And the answer should probably be yes. Right. I think the big question, I don't think, is 2 appointed. I think the question is 1 elected, 1 appointed. To Don's point before is, I want to think through if there are any conflicts there, right? Because that's where, you know, I get his point around, I don't want a P and Z member serving on inland wetlands.
Correct.
I get that. So that's why I think 2 appointed, definitely. 1 elected, 1 appointed, I got to think about.
Okay.
So let's see. No other changes here. And then this last one here, just as we had said, the Board of Aldermen may pass rules regarding participating and voting in meetings when not physically present, in line with Connecticut state statutes. So not saying that there are, you know, we're not requiring it, but the Board of Aldermen now has the power to do that. And then going down, departments and other agencies. I have not changed this yet from our last meeting, but we said change this to Chief of Staff. Title to Chief of Staff. I don't think we actually changed any of his powers. I changed a shall to a may here.
Mhm.
Right, so to give a little more flexibility, the mayor doesn't want him or her to do all of those things. Other positions, corporation counsel, I don't believe I changed anything. Town clerk, no change. Department of Finance, no change to the people. Yep.
Hey, Dan, listen, I don't want to beat a dead horse on this administrative assistant, but
Yeah,
we might want to just research to see if this should be in here at all. It's the only, it's like a, again, I get the point that somehow, but that type of authority is granted to, the classified or the open. Typically in a municipal government, an assistant manager will have that authority, but it doesn't appear.
this highlighted sentence, when I talked to Jack, is the sentence that he cares about, right? He's like, obviously he wants the title changed, but he's like, look, this is actually a powerful position because of this delegation authority that the mayor can give to the administrative assistant. Is almost unlimited, right? Like this sentence is very broad. Basically says the mayor can make the administrative assistant have the power of the mayor, right? It actually doesn't even say like, the mayor could delegate to the administrative assistant the power to appoint boards and commissions, right? Like this is a very powerful sentence that's here.
Maybe that's not a great thing, because I mean, the qualifications certainly don't match up with that kind of authority. So I mean, again, if by ordinance, if the legislative body says, hey, listen, we need to have this chain of command, we need to have this codified, they can do it. But this whole provision in this document is like, anyway, just a thought.
Yeah, what other folks think?
Are you referring to the 1 year's experience in public administration and a baccalaureate degree?
Yeah.
Well, I think we would want somebody in that position to have higher level education and some type of experience out in the big world.
Well, don't get me wrong, these qualifications today wouldn't qualify anybody for a 3rd or 4th tier position in a municipality.
The very
Right.
These are significant qualifications, and I have no issue with these because it gives the mayor discretion, broad discretion to bring somebody in he's comfortable with. I get that. Okay, but again, sitting in this document, it just unless there's some teeth to your point, Dan, you know, that's got to be in this document.
But I guess if the mayor, in his absence, the president of the Board of Aldermen, it says shall serve as the mayor. So if
Right.
the mayor was incapacitated or whatever, then the president of the Board of Aldermen serves as the acting, I believe, going back.
Yeah.
That's correct. That's like line of succession that's established earlier. This is more so on a day-to-day basis, Gary. It's that, you know, the
Right.
transfer of power from the mayor to the administrative assistant. And again, I just talked to Jack for like 5-10 minutes about this. I didn't go into detail about practicality, like what powers does the mayor actually transfer to you?
But the mayor should be able to appoint a staff as he sees fit.
Absolutely.
Correct, which they do have that, right? This is a question of, right, like the other positions here. Oh, no, that's not it. Where is it? Other positions somewhere in here that the mayor can, you know, appoint other staff as he sees fit. I gotta find where it says that. But this one really is, and look, I'm channeling Jack. I don't feel strongly about this one way or the other. Jack says that it is important for the functioning of the city that the mayor be able to delegate that power to him. So if we want to call Jack in to talk to him about it, or if you want me to get more information.
Unless you put that somewhere else and you don't, and you just leave the title and everything else out.
Well, you got,
It's not
gotta-
that important. I shouldn't have brought it up again.
yeah, you got to define the position, Gary, if you're going to give him the power.
Yeah, okay. All right. I mean, it doesn't matter to me.
Well, so let's do this. Do you guys want to talk to Jack, or do you want me to get information from Jack?
You can get information from Jack. That'd be fine by me.
And then let's talk to Mark.
Right.
Powers, practicality are delegated, and thus the need for this section. Okay. Okay. More work to be done. Got it. Okay. And then corporation council, I had no changes. City town clerk, no changes.
Excuse me though, again, I have a question. Why, and no offense, Sophia, but why does the city town clerk have like no other, you know, sections under it than like the other ones do? Powers and duties, da, 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 da.
Because we're run by state statute, we're run by the state, we're run by the city. You can't,
Oh, okay.
can't say-
I was just curious. as
yeah,
to why all
everything
the
we
other
do,
ones-
like all recordings for land records are by state statutes. Everything about elections is by state statutes. Anything to do with vitals is by state statutes.
Okay, makes total sense then.
Cool. Well, gang, as I mentioned, I have a hard stop at 8:30. So let's actually pause here, right? We'll make a note that we're stopping at section 6.3. We actually made pretty good time. We actually got through in an hour and a half. We got through, you know, we have some outstanding questions, but we got through 24 of 49 pages. That's pretty good. So
Right.
I would suggest that we go back to, we do our Monday meeting next week and see if we can get through the rest of this. And then we're kind of in, then we can, once we have all of our questions answered, we can start going into both the proofreading, the review by corporation counsel, and we can schedule a public hearing for sometime in late June. So once we get through this, and we got to answer all the questions we answered, but this went smoother than it could have. So
Hey, Dan, I got a question. How do we do a public hearing?
I actually,
Yep.
and this is where we're gonna have to talk about this. I actually believe we have to have a public hearing at City Hall. I actually believe we'll have to do that live. We're gonna have to social distance. Everybody's got to be required to wear a mask. And we got to do that there. right? We have that, those will be the rules of the public hearings, that no one will be within 6 feet of each other and everyone must wear a mask. But I think that's what we got to do, because otherwise the alternative is we do it on Zoom. The public has to sign up before the meeting with Sophia. We give them a password to the meeting, and then they're able to join the meeting with us, and then they just take turns for their whatever it is, 3 or 5 minutes.
We could come up, I mean, I'm comfortable doing that. I hope everybody else would be too.
Doing the Zoom.
No, I mean, going to town hall.
I'm comfortable going to town hall, the social distance and the mask. I don't have a
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah, I'll do that.
I think it'll
Well,
be easy.
I don't have a problem with that either, unless our numbers go up again.
Yeah, it is one of those things we got to
Well,
monitor.
I guess if a few of us are there, some other, somebody else could do it by electronic.
Right.
Yeah, the big question is, how do you want the public to be able to speak, right? Do you want the public to be able to speak live? Because if you're going to do it, if you're going to do some electronic, you might as well do it all electronic, right? Because we can do that. I just think it's, people can also always submit written statements if they're not comfortable coming to the public hearing.
Got to go, Dan. I just think you got to let, the public have the right to speak.
Absolutely.
Right, but Dan, could I just, like Ruth Ann can back me up on this. In the past, every time we were doing sections or whatever, everything was uploaded so that everybody, the public, got to see what changes were.
Yep.
And the minute that the changes were happening, we were getting correspondence.
Yep.
So at that last public hearing, everything was already a done deal.
Yeah.
So that's how it worked in the past, to say, okay, these are what the changes is. And the minute somebody didn't like it, you knew about it right then and there, not
Yeah.
waiting till the end where it's going to fail because of one thing.
Right. No, that's exactly right. And that's the same way we're going to do it now is, once we have this thing done,
Yep.
like the way I imagine it happening is we're going to do a couple things in parallel, right? We're going to proofread, right? Which is
Right.
super. We're going to publish it for a public hearing, right? Publish it on the website, right? And say, look, it's a draft, right? We're
Right.
on the draft. And then Corporation Council is going to review it to make sure we're not screwing anything up by state statute or other law. And so we do those 3 things in parallel once we kind of get our first draft done here. And then I think it's just a question of whether we do that public hearing live or on Zoom. And I don't think it makes sense to do a mix of it, right? Like, why, if we think there's a danger, why expose anybody, right? Just let people come on Zoom.
I don't think it's about us. I don't have any issue with it either. I just don't think you ask other people to come to a public hearing.
Do a public hearing at this point.
Yeah.
Well, good. We don't have to make a decision tonight on that either. So let's all sleep on that one. And again, I'm open to either way. We can do it either way. Sophia, how are other boards and commissions doing it in the city?
Inland wetlands, we've had meetings there and it's live streamed, but they're going in a meeting. Planning and zoning is meeting at City Hall, and it is social distancing with the public as well as everyone at the table. Everyone does wear a mask. They do it during the day. There's no night meetings right now because City Hall is only open till 2 o'clock. So unless that changes, you can't have a meeting at night because City Hall's not open.
Yeah, so that biases me towards doing it electronically because I want to maximize, to Gary's point, maximize the public's ability to comment. And I think that's more at night because people are working during the day. So that biases me towards a Zoom meeting.
They're doing it there and it's live streamed.
Like
So-
there. But yeah, the question is, how does the public talk to us, right? And so it would be over Zoom that we would give those people who sign up a password that they can come on our Zoom meeting.
Right.
Well, just room for thought.
Yeah, no, it's a important one and an unfortunate one that we got to think through. Okay, but we'll talk about that more next time. 7 o'clock Monday, June 1st, work for everybody?
Yes.
Works for me.
Yep.
All right, then. We're making good time. And we will, in our next meeting, try to get through the rest of it.
Great.
All right.
Sounds good.
Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion by Darlissa, seconded by Ruth.
Second. Yep.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We stand adjourned, gang. Have a great week.
Thanks,
Bye,
Dan.
guys.
You
Take care, Dan.
Thank you. Bye.